observing the silence in the silence session, what it says that that's the God's language is silence. Everything else is poor translation. Swami is the true embodiments of love. And we all know, if we have noticed, that every single discourse that Swami has given to us begins with the address of 3 words, embodiments of love. That in itself implies what Swami meant and has given the dignity and given the platform to us, same as his, that he is God and you are God. Look for the divinity within you was the message that Swami always conveyed before he begins all his discourses. Today's message is about worshiping idol. That's the inspiration I got to talk about it. I don't know how I got here taking this message over to you, but 22 years ago, Swami delivered this message, which I'm going to repeat. It's nothing of my own. People investigated divine and the divinity in the early days, and they could not make the fullest out of it. So they started worshiping the nature. As time passed, they stopped worshiping the nature and they started worshiping idols, murti. When we say murti, the immediate thought that comes to mind is the form. Anything that is born has the form. A form that has the divine principle dwelling in it. It has the consciousness, awareness, love, compassion, sacrifice. These divine qualities we are very used to, and that's why Swami calls us embodiments of love. Living, walking, moving form. Swami makes an effort to give us the faith, to instill the faith in us. And there is one of the form that people started worshiping, which was one that didn't have the formless in it, which is made out of stone. Form, we living forms as the formless in us. That's why we are divine. But Swami also sends us the message that the divinity can be installed if we install the faith in the idols or murti that is made out of stone. And he gives a very good example. He uses his finger and points to something like Swami's portrait over there, or Ganapati over there. When the pointer points at the picture, basically our consciousness is moving from the finger to the portrait. So it ceases to exist in our consciousness, and it takes us to the easy path to look for the values of that portrait. And we start looking, when we look at the portrait, we start analyzing the divinity within that portrait. And it takes us on a journey towards the entire life of Swami. And Swami has told us, my life is the message. My life is my message. If we carefully and focus our consciousness in that one sentence, it's the entire message, and the depth of that message starts rolling in our consciousness. That is for people that needs the guidance to go to the divinity through non-living things like the portrait. But for people that already has the awareness, and Swami calls it constant integrated awareness. If you have the awareness that the divinity is dwelling within you, then the path becomes easier. But for those that needs any additional help, then Swami points us to the Murti. And that is the most noble idea. Anyone that is in disbelief is purely ignorance. And these are not my words. Everything that I have gathered is from Swami's message. Nobody can deny that the divine is within us. Endearingly, we put the portraits of our parents, grandparents, elders, preceptors on the wall, just like we have a portrait of Swami on the wall. And people remind themselves of the characters or personalities or the divinity that was played by those that are in the picture. Swami gives a very easy example to us for those who does not believe that idol worship is a noble idea. Talks about the currency. Each one of us here and the entire world believes or have faith in the currency. They, in fact, love the currency more than anything else, including me, of course. And it's a non-living thing, yet we have the faith, yet we have the love for it. What is the mystery? And Swami unfolds the mystery for us. It's the stamp of the government on that currency bill that triggers the faith with the least of the effort. And it's instilled in you 24/7, 365 days a year. Don't have to make too much effort about it. It also gives us an example of a flag or a national flag. It's made out of yarn. There's no life in it. There is no divinity in it. Yet, we hold it in high esteem. That is because we are aware of what the values behind the non-living thing that we call murti, idol. And these two examples in itself is so simplistic an example that I found that we don't need to make too much effort. When we go to Swami's murti, we try to pray. Basically, we are pointing back at us. We need to seek within us, not at the portrait, because portrait is pointing internally towards you. That's the help that we are seeking to make it easier on us. So as long as we are aware of it, awareness is very, very, very important. If there is no faith, no one can satisfy their desires. Faith, like Shirdi Baba's message, Shraddha and Shaburi. Same message Swami is giving us. Faith is very important to satisfy any and all of your desires. Then Swami takes us to Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. God dwells in us. Ishvara, the master of Aishwarya. Ishvara is also called Shankara. Shankara. Chidananda Anandamaya. Chidananda Atmananda. What it does, what basically the purpose is, that it confers the bliss of the self to the eternal bliss. Then Swami explains the very word Satya Sai, and he connotes, he tries to tell us that Satya in Sanskrit has a meaning in Rig Veda. Sa, ya, a, sa, Samaveda, ya, Yajurveda, a, Atharvaveda. It has, every letter has the very essence of Veda, and that's why there is a significance of those two words, Satya Sai. And Swami reminds those that don't believe in that truth. He also gives an example of lingam. What is lingam? Lingam is meaning sign. Lingam meaning self, the Atma within you. Lingam has no dimensions. God has no beginning nor end. And that's what we call lingam. When people are not aware of the truth, they make two big mistakes in their life. The one mistake is about we ignoring hundreds of mistakes that we make in our life, ourselves, and work so hard towards finding faults and finding mistakes of the others. That, Swami calls it out as the biggest sin that one can do in their lifetime. And emphasizes that if you want to be a good sadhaka, you have to get rid of these two evil qualities within you. Try to look for your own fault every single time. instead of finding fault in others. If you want to spiritually advance yourself, it's so important that we stay aware of that, what Swami has required us to be aware of. If we don't practice what Swami has said and don't keep that in our consciousness alive all the time, then the purpose of life is meaningless. You're wasting the time. We are wasting the time. We don't need to be here. We don't need to be in the form that we are. We are human beings. We are given the intellect. And we need to use that intellect to discriminate and keep that awareness, observe the things all the time. Instead of reactive, try to be responsive. When you can be only responsive for your own good, if you keep that consciousness, keep that intellect working for you and supervising your mind. The mind is the monkey that we need to be careful about. There are two qualities. If we want to seek love and peace within, Swami calls to get rid of restlessness, get rid of misery by simply following these two mistakes, carefully avoiding those mistakes. Then Swami assures us that we can seek peace, seek love for ourselves, seek love with others. And Swami, of course, has defined God as love. Live in love. That's the message. Very important message. He also calls this message as the very principle of Shiva. Then he reminds us of 3 P's, P like Peter: publicize, propagate, and practice chanting. He emphasizes on chanting God's name all the time. There are two main reasons that I could figure out. One, it brings out the energy, the divine energy within us when we are involved in chanting. And the second reason that I researched, it's not Swami's, but I researched that science has a meaning behind it as well. I'm not a doctor, but the doctors here can tell us that the body has the parasympathetic nervous system within us, each one of us. And the main nerve, the vagus nerve, is the one nerve that runs from the head to toe. That nerve has the power of healing the body. And the sense organ that we have in the throat, when we chant, does the healing part to the body. So chanting has some meaning, not only the divine meaning, but also beneficial meaning that science has proved that these nervous system within us, parasympathetic nervous system, has basically 3 functions. One is it does the involuntary function of digestion, regulating your heartbeat, and immunity. So if we can apply that to the benefit of our needs to heal, chanting not only brings out the divine energy within us, but also gives us a secondary benefit of healing our illnesses. I think my message was simply emphasizing faith and peace, Shraddha and Saburi. Hope you guys got some message out of this and you will benefit in years to come. God bless you. Sai Ram.